We're good to go? What is there? Oh, today's
that it, Mary?
Wednesday.
Well, please have a,
Stop day.
In Washington DC.
Okay, are y'all ready to rock and roll? We finished question 9 yesterday, correct? From Mark.
I don't know, the last second of it was kind of crazy.
Okay, so let's go back to question 9. Do I need to redraw that? Probably. Well, maybe. Let's attempt. Not an artist here. Okay. That's what you have on question 9. It gives you a lot of information, but the one part that is most important on that is that A, B, D, E, and F, G are parallel to BC. So that tells me that all of these lines are parallel to each other. Okay, and then ask for what the length of AC is. So I need this entire length. Right? So what the short version of this is that every piece of that triangle is proportional. So I can set up a proportion and find this portion and this portion. So when I say set up a proportion, how many things do I need to know before I can do that? I need to know 2 of something, right? So I have to have one ratio for part of the proportion. So what is one ratio that I can set up for that? Heard somebody say something? 8 over 16, right? So that's my first ratio that I can use for that. Okay, so I can use this side to this side. So what's the second part of my proportion if I'm looking for those 2 pieces? Come on, you all. What corresponds to 8? What? Say it again.
something over 7. X over 7.
Close. Since
I mean,
8
7 over something.
7 over something because my 8 corresponds to this side. So I need to keep those proportionally correct. So I'm going to say 7 over 8 and get cross multiply and divide. Whatever 16 times 7 is, 112. Divide by 8 and get 14. So how can I set up to find B? So I can do the same thing. 8 over 16 equals 6 over B. Cross multiply. Whatever 16 times 6 is. Divide by 8. 12. Okay? So now look at your answer choices. What is it asking for? The whole entire length. So how do I find the whole entire length? Add them together. So 16, 14, 30, 42. So D. Okay, can you guess on something like this? What was in the instructions of the ACT math portion? What was one of those things that it said? And I told you all that was a lie. It says illustrated figures are not necessarily drawn scale. They are. So if I could have looked at that and said, okay, that's 16. That looks about 15. That looks about 15. You could have gotten close to 42 or 48. So that cuts your.
That's what I did. I got
Yep.
48.
See? But you got a 50-50 shot at that point, right? Okay, question 10. We run 15 miles in 2.5 hours. What is the average number of minutes it takes her to run a mile? So how would I set this up? Give you all a little snippet. I know 3 things, and I'm looking for a 4th. I know 15 miles, 2.5 hours, and 1 mile, right? I know 3 things. That automatically clicks in my head. I've got to set up a proportion. Automatic. Those 3 things, looking for 1, proportion automatically. So let's set that one up. How can I set up this proportion for number 10?
15 over 2.
15 miles over what? Okay, we can. Let's do 2.5. Y'all gonna have to help me out because I didn't do it this way. Help me out with some calculations here. Okay. Then it's saying the average number of minutes it takes her to run 1 mile. So where's my 1 mile gonna go? Top or bottom? What? Top. But the question says the average number of minutes. Can I put minutes here? Why? Because that says hours. So how can I convert 2.5 hours to minutes? It's what? How do I convert hours to minutes?
60 minutes is 1 hour.
60 minutes in an hour.
30 minutes in a mile.
Right? What?
150.
150. So I've got to convert that 2.5 to 150 minutes. Then I can say, I'm looking for minutes there. So cross multiply and divide. So 1 times 150 is 150. 15x divide by 10. Your answer was G amount. So pay attention to what it's asking for. And I meant, when I didn't pick it up from the copy machine, I have a formula sheet. And I'll run it.
Is it on the top of your head?
Yeah, well, I didn't release it. You want my number? 27716. It's the other side. Okay, 11. A bag contains 8 red marbles, 9 yellow marbles, 7 green marbles. How many additional red marbles must be added to the 24 marbles already in the bag so the probability of drawing a red marble is 3 over 5? Did anybody get this one answered? Bless you. You know, tell me how you did it before I do my way, which could be a little more difficult. The answer is B. Did anybody get B?
I just kind of like danced around with what made
Okay, that to me, that will work. So if you don't know how to set something up, the answer is there. Use the answers to your benefit.
So that makes the most sense.
Okay, yes. Do you all want to do it that way, which is harder for me, or do you all want me to show you the algebraic way? That's the way my mind works. Okay, work it out. So it wants to know, randomly draw a red marble to get 3/5, but I already have 24 marbles, so I've got to add more marbles to the back, right? So I have 8 already, and I have 24 already, and I have to get to 3/5. So I have to add an additional so many red marbles. So I'm going to let that additional red marbles be X, right? But if I added X amount of marbles to the bag, what else happens? What? This has to go up as well, right? Because the number of marbles in the bag went up. So I have to also add a plus X there, right? What if I fall? Don't laugh at me. So how can I solve that? Same way, cross multiply and divide. So let's do 5 times 8 plus X, and then 3 times 24 plus X. Can we solve that, or do I need to work that out? Work it out. Distribute your 5. So 40 plus 5X, 3 times 24, whatever, 72. And then plus 3X. From here. Yes and no. Can I combine and get 8? Because I have an equal sign here. Pull the algebra back out. Yes. So that leaves me with 40 plus 2X equals 72. Then you subtract your 40. Right? So X is 16. Now, could you have said, okay, let's Try 20. And add that to 8, add that to 24, see if that simplifies to 3/5, yes. And then find out that wouldn't work, and then go over it and do it that way. That's how my brain operates, so. I'm not saying that my way is perfect, so if you found this another way, go with the quickest way, okay? Okay, number 12, questions so far? And the sheet Mr. Dotson went and got, well, I'll explain that. All right, standard XY coordinate plane, the point 2, 1 is the midpoint, point C has coordinates of 6, 8, what are the coordinates of point D? What's the first thing you need to know on this question? Is it too early for math this morning? What's the first thing I need to know on question number 12? It is some kind of formula. What kind of formula? The midpoint formula. Can anybody give me the midpoint formula? Midpoint. Has those X's in it. X2. Ooh, divide by 2. Okay, thank you. So add your X's divide by 2, add your Y's divide by 2. So on this one, it says your midpoint is 2, 1, and I have a coordinate of 6, 8. So I know this portion has to equal 2. That portion has to equal 1. What else do I know? I know that one point is 6, 8. And I know one of my X values is 6, one of my Y values is 8. Now I can just plug it in. So what plus 6 divided by 2 is 2? Let's do it this way. So X plus 6 divided by 2 has to equal 2. How do I solve that? Okay, so I gotta get rid of my fraction. So X plus 6 equals 4. Subtract 6. So my X value is -2. Same thing for my Y value. Y plus 8 divided by 2 equals 1. Same thing here. Multiply by 2. Subtract your 8. So my point is -2, -6, which is G. Handle this just for reference. Now, the ACT thinks that you all should know all of these formulas and how to use them. If it's something massive, like volume, surface area, they will give that to you. They call these formulas basic formulas. So midpoint, they want you to know. You need to know Pythagorean theorem, you need to know how to do percentages, all of that. So this is reference. Sequences and series, you're not gonna have a whole lot of those. You will see some that says, what's the 5th term? Those you can do quicker by figuring out the pattern and going from there than you can using a formula. Okay, look at the algebra part. Understand slope, understand how to find slope, understand distance, midpoint, quadratics. Flip it over, you've got circles. We'll see a circle question here shortly. Understand trig, and I know some of you all asked for that yesterday. There's a couple of you all asked about trig. We'll do that. Just circles, you'll have a question or two every time. So those are some things that you can kind of look over. Also, the Pythagorean theorem is a big one. Okay. All right, let's look at question 13. We've got 40 hours working. Thomas works regular time. Any additional time he works overtime, he gets 15 an hour. He gets paid time and a half. After his regular time, he works 46 hours. It's $117 in deductions taken. After his deductions are taken out, how much of Thomas's pay for this week remains? You all have jobs. We can do this one, right? I need to, what'd you all get on this question? D. So how much do I get paid for the regular 40 hours? 15 an hour. How much do I get paid for the overtime hours? It's $22 and a half. How did you get 22 and a half? Because you take the 15 and multiply it by your time and a half is 22 and a half. So I said 40 times the regular $15 plus we worked 6 over. Multiply that by 22 and a half. And should have gotten 618. No. All right. I went over that. 735. Then it asks, forgot the deductions part. But here's a kicker. This is a good point in this. It's an answer, right? So if I'd have got 735 and saw, oh, that's E, is my answer correct? Because it said after deductions were taken out. So I needed to subtract 117, which is 618.
And ACT anticipates the
Yes.
wrong answer that you'll come up with.
Mhm.
And they
Every
use it as a distractor.
Every single time. Okay, 14, I feel like I'm flying. Okay, we've got a table. I'm the world's worst about not reading a paragraph, but let's read it. The price of a bag of grapes depends on the number of bags purchased. 2 trips to the sweet stuff. We purchased 3 bags of grapes on Monday, 4 bags of grapes on Wednesday. How much would she have saved if she had instead purchased 7 bags in 1 trip on Monday? So I went 2 separate days, got 2 different amounts of grapes. But if I'd have went in 1 trip and got the total amount, what was the difference? Did we get an answer there? Did we get to this point? Let's work. So if I got on Monday 4 bags of grapes. So looking at that table, how much is 4 bags of grapes? 280. So I got Monday at 280. And then what? Wednesday, no, wait a minute, that was wrong. That was Wednesday. All right, get that. Well, I can't read. And Monday, I got 3 bags. At what? How much cost? $3. So we know how to read a table. So that total was $20.20. But if I went in 1 trip and got the same amount of grapes, how many bags would I have got total? 7. So if I did 7 bags of grapes, according to my table, how much am I paying per bag? $260. So 7 times 260. So how much would I have saved if I had gone with the 7 bags in 1 day? $2. So J. Whew. Okay, question 15, percentage. What is 3% of 4.14 times 10 to the 4th? Can you type all of that in that calculator and get an answer from this? Exactly the way it says. I can't remember about percentages. But anyway, if you can't or you can, either way, how do I write 3% as a decimal? Is 3%, right? And then it says times 10 to the 4th. And if you can write all that in the calculator, go for it. But can I expand this? Do you all know how to expand that? To the 4th power, I'm going to add zeros until I can move that decimal place. Which direction? All right, 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you could have said times 0.03 and got a 1242. But I'm thinking in your calculator you could have typed that incorrectly, exactly like that, without having to do this work. Question 16. What value satisfies the equation? Let's solve an equation. We need a board that goes all the way around the room. Okay, let's just review. So negative 12x plus 15 equals 2 plus 10x from here. Sometimes I think when I watch math students, this is the hardest part. This is the hardest step.
You need to get the X.
Okay, which one are you going to move? Okay, so let's move the 10x. So that's negative 2x plus 15 equals 2. Divide by negative 2. So x is 13 over 2, which is k. Questions? Don't miss a negative sign. Okay, 17, your trig. What do y'all remember about trig? Nothing? Okay. I used to have a story I would tell about sine, cosine, and tangent, and I can't remember all of it, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yes.
It's about an Indian and soaking his toe, but go from there. So sine, cosine, tangent. Opposite over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse, and opposite over adjacent. SOHCAHTOA. Don't remember that. Remember those. If you need them, you will need them. Okay, it asks for what is sine of A. So I've got A, I've got my right triangle, 4 square root of 2, 9, 7, B, C. Okay, so it's asking for sine of A. So I know I have to look from that angle. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So what side is opposite angle A? What side? Side. So here's a side, here's a side, here's a side. What side is opposite? 7 is your opposite side. What is 9? Okay, what is 4 square root of 2? Adjacent, right? Adjacent means next to, right? So opposite side of angle A is 7. What is the hypotenuse of that triangle? Right. Let's keep going. Cosine of angle A. What's adjacent? 4 square root of 2. Your hypotenuse? 9. Okay. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. What side is opposite A? 7. What side is adjacent? 4 square root of 2. I will tell you that will not be an option. If they ask you what was tangent of angle A, this is not simplified. Therefore, that won't be an option. Do we know how to simplify this? Can't have a square on the bottom. That's illegal in math. Can't leave a square in the bottom, but how do I get rid of a square root? Multiply top and bottom by the square root of 2. So 7 square root of 2. What's the square root of 2 times the square root of 2? My math children that are in my math class right now. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2. It does. So it's 2. So 4 times 2. So that's simplified. Okay. Or what's the other option? If I didn't know how to simplify this, what can I do with that? Put in the calculator, get a decimal, right? Then find your answer as a decimal and go with it. Does that help on the trig part? Okay. But what if we were looking for angle C on this triangle? How would that change what this is?
Those two sides would switch.
This side would be adjacent and this side would be opposite. So pay attention to what angle they're asking you from. Okay? What's the answer? Because it asks for a sine of A. I just went a little bit further to kind of remember some trick. Okay? Because it says sine of A. Okay, number 18. Number 18, you should have been able to type that directly into the calculator. The only thing that I can say about when you type in something that massive, and I call that massive, is make sure your parentheses are correct. Okay? Or if you have to put parentheses, or does those calculators push it up into like an exponent? This is where I get
You
fuzzy.
can put it in the exponent. You can click up, give it to yourself.
Okay, gotcha. But do you have to put that in parentheses too?
No.
Okay, so you all should have got 16 over 9. And we'll not do that one the long way because I know you all can type that one in. Okay, question 19. This one was actually kind of cool. I don't know where they get these names. Is that Lotto? Begins at his back door, walks 8 yards east, 6 yards north, 12 yards east, 5 yards north to the barn door. How many yards less would he walk if he could walk directly from the back door to the barn door? So first, do we know north, south, east, and west?
Yep.
Never eat soggy waffles, right? Okay, so we begin at the back door. Let's say here's the back door. And I walk 8 yards east, right? Then I walk 6 yards north, and then I walk 12 yards east, and then 5 yards north. So total, if I go that route, how much did I walk? How many yards did I walk? 8 plus 6 plus 12 plus 5. That's 26, 31. So if I go that way, 31 yards. So here's my barn door. So if I walk directly, and this is where I get in the back shape. So if I walk directly, pretend that's a straight line. How much less would I have to walk? What did you say? Almost. Hang on. So what can I figure out here? What do I have here? A what? What kind of triangle? The right triangle. What else do I have here? Another right triangle. So automatically, I've got 2 right triangles, or I have a right triangle in general. What should that automatically, in your head, start thinking? 90 degrees, but what kind of formula? Pythagorean theorem. Automatically. You see a right triangle, think Pythagorean theorem, because that's the easiest. So Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Which one of those am I missing? I'm missing c, which is the hypotenuse. So how can I figure out what c is from the Pythagorean theorem? 8 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. So 64, 36, 100. Right? 64, 36, yeah, 100. Then how do I get c bets up? Which is 10. Gotta do it again here. So 12 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared, because I don't know this portion. So 144, 25. Is that right? Are you looking at my math and all, and I didn't do that part? Square root of 169, 13. Hey? So 23.
That's
C, right? Is C correct? Don't write that down. C is not correct. What's the question asked? This distance was 23, which is an answer, which I actually circled first. But that's not what what it's asking for. It's asking for how much less is this way from that way. 31 minus 23. 8.
So I would
A.
look at that right and just be like, that looks about right.
Take it and go with it.
I'm gonna start guessing more because the only
No,
ones I'm
don't
getting right are the
guess.
ones that I'm guessing.
If you're going to guess logically.
That's the only ones I'm getting right. But I'm
Yes,
like, yeah, that looks
logically.
right.
Okay. All right, question 20. Lots of symbols. It says, I know you're always skipping these because you don't know what these little symbols mean. It says, for the given set of data, the standard score Z corresponding to the raw score X is given by that formula, where mu is the mean and the set of all standard deviation, blah, blah. We don't have to know any of that. It tells us mu is 78, the other one's 6, which of the following is the raw score X corresponding to Z equals 2? That's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo. Right? We don't have to know what standard deviation is. We don't have to know any of that. I've got a formula. It's been a long time since I wrote one of those. So it tells me that Z is what? 2. So I'm going to replace Z with 2. What else does it give me?
Is that an M?
We'll call it M. Okay? So we don't know what X is. That is 78. What else do we know? Is that intimidating now?
No.
No. So how do I solve that? Multiply both sides by 6. So 12 equals X minus 78. Then what? Add 78. Did we attempt that one at all?
No.
Why?
I put it in
Because
the
it has a bunch
insult.
of weird letters.
That worked too.
I put
Yes.
it in the first one and it worked.
Because it was intimidating because of these.
Yeah.
Don't let that intimidate you. Because if they give you enough information, use it. Okay? All right, 21. I'm not even going to attempt to draw that. Let's just talk about it. It says, which of the following does not appear in the figure? Do you see an acute triangle in that figure?
Mhm.
Where is it at? Left or right? Left. Do I see an equilateral triangle? What's equilateral triangle mean? All sides are equal. I'm going to tell you, yes, that one that has 60 degrees, it looks like an equilateral triangle. We're going to go with that's an equilateral triangle. Remember, they are drawn to where it looks correct, okay? Isosceles triangle. Can you find one? What's an isosceles triangle? Come on, y'all talk to me. Hello, where's the squad?
Yes.
Okay. Isosceles triangle. Tell me what an isosceles triangle is. 2 sides that are equal. Equilateral, all 3 sides are equal. Isosceles means 2 sides are equal. So do I have an isosceles triangle? Yes, that right triangle looks isosceles. We're going to go with it. Do I have a right triangle? Yes. So do I have a scalene triangle? What does scalene mean? No sides are equal. Do I have one of those? No. So the answer is E. Hey, question 22. Remember, that's back on your formula sheet. What is the slope of the line in standard coordinate plane that is parallel to that line? What do I know about parallel lines? They have the same slope. Can I look at that equation and figure out what the slope of that line is? Do you all remember in that equation, y equals mx plus b, what's the slope? M. That's my slope. Do I have this in that form? No. So I have to get this looking like that. Reach way back a few years ago, algebra 1. How do I make this look like that? Subtract x from both sides. So those cancel out. So 5y equals 9 minus x. Still not there. Last step. Divide by 5. Divide everything by 5. Okay, now what is my slope? Negative 1/5. So should have been, what question on 22? G.
Logical guessing is my favorite. It's how I get all of these right.
I'm in 21, we can logically look at that one. I'm not going to go with guessing all the time. Okay, 23. Given that y equals x over x minus 1 and x is greater than 1, which of the following is a possible value of y? Any suggestions on how to start this one? We've got enough information. It says x is greater than 1. Somebody give me a number greater than 1. 2, right? 2. Let's let x be 2. Plug it in, right? This is going to go with Raylan's guessing here. So I just plugged in 2 because I know that 2 is greater than 1, right? So if I simplify that, I get 2 over what? 1, which is 2. Look at your answer choices. What would you choose? 1.9. Okay, so it says which of the following is a possible value. I come up with a possible value that was very, very close to one of those. That's what I'm going to go with. Okay. Okay, 24. I didn't do any work on 24 besides looking at the answers. It says the set of all possible integers that are divisible by both 15 and 35 is infinite. What is the least positive integer in this set? What does divisible mean? It can go into 5. 15 and 35 can go into 5. So I've got to find one of those numbers, the least number that 15 and 35 will both go into. Evenly. The divisible, it has to go in evenly. It's actually 105. So I know they won't go into 5. I know they won't go into 50 evenly. They both will go into 105, and that's the smallest one there. Okay? Okay, question 25. I feel like I'm flying. We may skip because we're going to run out of time. What time's the bell ring? 20 or 25? 20? Okay.
No, 25. 26.
Okay. In triangle ABC, the measure of A is 58. Here's the key point. AB is congruent to AC. So this side equals this side. This is where we're going to find our geometry. So what type of triangle is that? Two sides are equal. Isosceles. That also tells me that the angles opposite those sides are also equal. So what angles are opposite those two sides? Opposite side, this side is angle B. Opposite this side is angle C. So I know angle B and angle C are equal. So how can I figure out what those two angles are if I know that angle is 58? What's the three angles of triangle add to? 180. So I can say 180 minus 58, which is what? Well, maybe this math. 122. What?
122.
Okay. So I know those two angles together are 122. Divided by 2, why? Well, they're equal, which is 61 and D. Ooh.
So weird, we don't do it. I'm like, yeah, it makes total sense. Because I'm like,
and you have to jump from algebra to geometry each question. Each question. Oh, wait, Dylan, I still got 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever time we are. Let me find one. Let's just keep going. Okay, 26. Are you all skipping the problems that have a lot of words?
Yes.
Yeah,
Why?
there's a lot of work.
Don't, because they're so easy after you read them. Okay, it says about 1.48 times 10 to the 8 square kilometers of Earth's surface is land. The rest, 3.63 times 10 to the 8 is water. If a returning space capsule lands on a random point on the Earth's surface, which of the following is the best estimate of the probability that space will land in water?
I guess.
Like probability, we know it's fraction. So land in water, we know that that's 3.63, right? Times 10 to the 8th. If I'm talking probability, it's part over whole. So what's my whole?
Here.
You would add the Earth's surface plus the Earth's water.
Which is?
Oh, I didn't do that. This is a big one, so I didn't work it out.
Yeah, I just was like, oh, 70.
But after I read it to you all, you're like, oh, okay, right? It's 5.11. And all you did was add 3.63 and 1.48 to get 5.11. I'll also give you all a hint. You don't have to put in times to the 10 to the 8th power. If they are the same, you don't even have to worry about it, okay? So in your calculator, you would say 3.63 divided by 5.11 and get 0.71, which is G71%. But the key to that one was the 5.11.
We'll move it. I don't just, I'll put that.
7% water.
That's really great. I was like, Earth got a lot more water than the land.
Fine, go with it. Okay, 27 is mean, median, mode, and it's long, but it's easy. What is mean? Mean. Average. So add them all up, divide by how many there are. Median is what? Middle number if they are in order, right? So I have to have 3, 4, 5, 6 in order to find the median. So what if I have 2 numbers that are in the middle? I can find the average. What is mode? The one that comes the most, okay? So that one we all could have done.
Yeah, we know how to do it.
E.